we'll take a look back at last night's 1-0 defeat against Sheffield United, and we'll look ahead to the next game coming up on Saturday at home to Millwall. And we'll have a catch-up on the latest situation with the Royals, and also a little bit of a chat about how we think the remaining games might play out, and looking ahead to the summer and all that sort of thing. So before we do that, just want to let you know what's coming up for you over the next few days on the 1871 podcast. So we haven't yet been able to confirm when Leroy Lita will be our guest. He said he's happy to come on, but we haven't confirmed when that's going to be yet. So we'll let you know, of course, as and when that's confirmed. And then tomorrow, we've got something a bit different for you. We'll have two guests with us from Reading Royals ice hockey team in Reading in Pennsylvania. And we'll be talking to them about what they do to engage with their fans and their local community in Reading in Pennsylvania, and maybe making a comparison or two with what Reading FC Royals in Royal Berkshire do in that respect. So just be interesting to get a different perspective on that. So that's tomorrow evening, Thursday evening. That was due to be going out on Friday evening, but we've brought that episode forward 24 hours. So it's going out on Thursday evening, tomorrow evening, and that's available anytime from 7 p.m. tomorrow. And then on Sunday, looking forward to this, we'll be bringing you our Reading FC quiz. So you can test your knowledge about the Royals, and you can tune in to have a listen to that and have a go at our quiz anytime from 10 a.m. on Sunday. So that's what's coming up over the next few days. And just to remind you that all episodes are available to listen to anytime to suit you. So just to mention, it's just myself and Johnny for this episode tonight. Dylan Kerr isn't with us for this episode, as Marumo Gallants are currently playing in the CAF Confederation Cup against, and I think it's pronounced Uzma Algier. Something like that. Something like that. And as things stand, that game is into the second half. And last time I looked, Gallants were winning 1-0, which means they're on course to top their group. And the CAF Confederation Cup in Africa is a bit like the Europa League, even. Difficult to say that one. I don't know why. But yeah, so we can obviously find out how that one finishes. But last time I looked, 1-0 up. So they're on course to be top of the group. So that's good. So, Johnny, let's have a chat about last night's game. Defeat to Sheffield United, 1-0 this time. So obviously not as bad as the game at Middlesbrough. But it was another defeat. And it was a defeat at home this time. So that's 2 games, no points, no goals. And yes, okay, it was a home defeat, but I think it's fair to say you'd probably say Sheffield United are a better side than Reading. So not a huge surprise. I did wonder if it might be that sort of result. Obviously, we're all hoping for at least a point. And actually, it seems that I think a lot of Reading fans, obviously, you're going to be disappointed, but certainly a better performance than Saturday, despite the defeat. Sheffield United had a bit more possession, but actually Reading had more shots, although Sheffield United had 4 efforts on target compared to 3 for Reading. Now, in the other results last night, Huddersfield were held to a 0-0 draw at home to Bristol City. Wigan lost 1-0 at West Brom. So here's how things stand. Reading have currently got 44 points, but we're expecting that 6-point deduction. So that would take us back to 38, which would have been good enough to stay up last season. And Blackpool, Huddersfield and Wigan all have 32 points. And Reading and all the teams below them have now played 35 games. So 11 games to go. And with the 6-point deduction, that means Reading will be 6 points clear of the bottom 3 with 11 games left. Now, as you know, Johnny, I think we'll be safe. I'm fairly confident. Reading's form is still 6 points from the last 5 games, despite the defeat last night. And that compares to the form of the bottom 3. So 4 points in the last 5 games for Blackpool, and Huddersfield also 5 points, 4 points from the last 5 games, and Wigan 4 points from the last 5 games. Got there in the end. So that win for Reading against Blackpool means we'll be 6 points ahead of them rather than level on points after the 6-point deduction. So that was a big win for Reading. Johnny, tell me your thoughts about last night's game. Obviously a defeat, disappointing, but you'd have to say an improved performance.
Yeah, look, the effort's always there. It's the missing quality, and that's the difference between the two sides. Sheffield United got the depth. They took their chance. We had, I think, a couple of chances for Andy Carroll, but it's one of those games where I think they puffed and there wasn't the end product, and they could still be playing now and not score. That's why Sheffield United are second, and we're where we are. That they've got depth. They've got Premier League players that played there last year. In that squad, and they've got depth on the bench. And as Int says, we've got kind of a mismatch of whatever. But you can't fault their effort for the cause. I just think sometimes, with Andy Carroll, we get sucked into playing one way to him up front. And I personally felt we played better before we signed him when we had Joe up front, mate. I don't know. It just, I think players get panicked and they see Andy Carroll. It's like we just got to get the ball to him when it's like he's a different kind of player to that. He's a better player than that. And Int's still, he still runs the show. He does what he does. Losing Mate to an injury didn't help. I think he was coming back to his best. That the pace that he's got, but we don't have that decisive player like John Swift, the game changer. That's where you miss a player like that in a game like that last night. Somebody that can do something out of the blue. Ince is probably the closest we've got to it. And the rest is, playing kind of still a fairly defensive way of having, wing backs, 3 at the back. But that's all we've got. I do, my personal opinion is he could have made the subs earlier. Femi Aziz deserves a chance to, with 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. It's not really given a chance to put the mark on the game when it was needed to be done earlier.
Yeah, and I think it's worth putting it all into context, because Paul Ince has come out recently and said, look, we've got what we've got because of the transfer embargo and all that sort of thing. This is the squad of players we've got. We can't just go out and play the type of football that teams like, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Burnley are playing. We just haven't got the players for that. So that's what he's come out and said. And, there's been criticism levelled against him for being negative. And you've said that, Johnny, as well. And obviously a lot of the fans are unhappy, disappointed, obviously. No points and no goals from 2 games. But I've had a message in from a Reading fan, Ewan Carr, who was at the game last night, and he said, to kind of put a bit of context on it, and I think he's right, actually. So I'll read his message out. So this is Ewan Carr, Reading fan for many, many years, who was at the game last night. He said, I thought Sheffield United moved the ball around quite well, but lacked in the final third. And to give some credit to Paul Ince, he chose a fairly good defensive balance. We fought well, as you said, Johnny, but didn't really have an outball in the first half. Long and Carroll both playing deeper and deeper, and balls getting higher and higher. And actually, it's quite good to go in half-time at 0-0. Now, Ewan says he thought it was no surprise that Ince didn't switch anything around at half-time. And it was pretty much the same again until they scored. He thought Shane Long should have been subbed, as he clearly looked out of breath after a couple of lung-bursting runs. And next thing, he misunderstands Nesta Guinness's pass and they take advantage by scoring. He also thought that Zhao should have been coming on a bit like you said, Johnny. He thought he should have come on early in the second half to get into things and maybe grind down their defence. And he said perhaps it's a fault of 90s players who are now managers, for example, Southgate and Ince and so on. Maybe they just don't want to sub early enough. And that has been a criticism, hasn't it, levelled at Paul Ince, that he doesn't seem to want to make those substitutions early. Eunan says he thought Sarr was the best of our team, and a little bit of a shout out to Dan and Carroll and their experience. He thinks will see us through what is a difficult time, obviously. He thinks we'll beat the weaker teams with the effort that we showed last night. He said also, and this is kind of understandable, I think, he thought the atmosphere was subdued, to say the least. And also he was surprised that Sheffield United didn't bring a bigger crowd. He's saying that he thought that a team like Sheffield United would bring a bigger crowd. Not that Sheffield United wouldn't bring more down. I misunderstood what he said there. So he thought it would be a bigger crowd. And he was disappointed that he didn't seem to be able to find a roundup on BBC Berkshire for the way home. Well, you can listen to this now, Eunan, and this is our roundup. And he says, finally, welcome back to Liam Moore, who was subjected to a bit of booing, but actually shown some resilience against what Eunan feels is the unfair statement put out by the previous management, which a lot of you will agree with. So actually, as Reading fans, we should stand up for him during a tough time with his form and injury. So that's a view from just one Reading fan. And I think, putting it all in context, we are where we are now. Everyone's got 11 games to go. I think we'd be safe. We probably just need a few points. I think we'll be, I don't know about comfortably, but I think there'll be a gap between us and the relegation sides at the end of the season. What's your view, John?
I'd say you got 11 games to go. From what's happened in the past, looking ahead and looking forward positively. 11 games, you'd look and say we should probably win 3 of those.
Yeah,
and a draw maybe. Being so you're looking at 10 points. That puts 16 points clear with the deduction. So they've then got to win 6 games. You kind of if you don't win 3 out of 11 games. Even with the squad we got, really, then you're asking for trouble. But they've got winnable games coming up. That you would certainly think 3 of that they could get 3 wins, and that's just a number I've come up with out of my head. But
yeah, or one, 2 wins and 3 draws.
Yeah, like something like that. We've got there's lower placed teams to play against, and there's always going to be a surprise result along the way. They'll always pick something up that you won't expect, and might go the other way as well. They'll lose a game they not expect, but that's where they're at. But the positive thing is that we are 6 points clear. With the deduction, which if we were in the mire and we were level, I would worry a lot more because you'd be thinking, sugar, you're dragged right down to their level. But I think Saturday's again another cup final against Millwall where you go win that one. That's the breathing space again. But
yeah, I mean that's going to be another tough game. Just over a year ago, I think it wasn't it 1-0 defeat at home to Millwall. So their form is last 5 games, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat. Obviously, generally speaking, lately Reading have been doing quite well at home. It was certainly an improved performance, wasn't it, last night? And if you look at the games coming up, so it's Millwall on Saturday, away to Blackburn, which obviously is going to be a tough game. They're in 4th at the moment, and their form's really good. So last 5 games for Blackburn, they've won 4 and drawn 1. Yeah. So they're going really well. So that's going to be A tough game for Reading away at Blackburn, and then we've got Hull, who are, you know, pretty much exactly where Reading are, just a point ahead at the moment. And then afterwards, just looking ahead to the April fixtures: away to Bristol City, home to Birmingham, away to Preston, home to Burnley. That'll be interesting. Home to Luton, chasing promotion, of course. Away to Coventry, going really well. Home to Wigan, who looks like they're kind of possibly the favourites to go down at the moment. And then into May, away to Huddersfield. So, you know, we've still got to play Huddersfield. We've still got to play Wigan. We've beaten Blackpool. So, look, I think in summary, I'm feeling really confident that we'll be safe. And actually, what it's about for me is, you know, try and put on a show for the fans. You know, the actual style of play isn't to a lot of Reading fans' liking, is it, at the moment? But it's all about get to the end of the season, get all the embargo and everything out the way, start again. So I think we'll be safe, and I think next season we'll start sort of moving in the right direction. Is that how you see it, or do you see it differently, Johnny?
Look, I always be under the cup's half empty. I think, I always do worry. Teams do have a bad run, and we could have a bad run. That's the way the championship goes, isn't it? A team at the bottom could still get a run of 3 games, but trying to, looking at realistically, 6 points clear, the games you've got. I hope it just doesn't come down to having to play Wigan and Huddersfield, and we needing to get something, just the Reading way of doing things to stress us all out. But looking aside from that and the bigger picture, the summer is where, hopefully the embargo is done. Hopefully we can start again. Hopefully we can start looking forward. Hopefully we've learned from all the mistakes. I see Dai Young was there last night, wasn't he? I think from
there's a lot of hopefullys in there, Johnny.
Well, it is, because I think we don't know what's going on. Again,
No.
It's until we know, we didn't know this points deduction was coming until a week ago, and that came pretty much out of the blue.
Yeah.
From so I don't know what else the AFL is up their sleeve, and I wouldn't be surprised what goes on.
I thought it was really interesting to chat to James Earnshaw from the Reading Chronicle on Monday night, because obviously he's not inside the club as such, but he's quite close to. He's quite close to the club in respect that he speaks to Paul Ince on a regular basis, and his view is that probably we'll kind of get to the end of the season, hopefully stay up, and then we can have a reset, put everything behind us. And he said, I think he said something along the lines of things are moving in the right direction. So I think there's something to look forward to for next season. And I think we just, at the moment, like the old football cliche, we just take it one game at a time, starting with Saturday. I do think we'll be safe. I'm really confident about that. I think we'll get enough points, not only to stay up, but to have a sort of gap in terms of points, and also, I don't think we'll finish in the same position as last year. I think we'll be clear, and we'll do it possibly with 2 or 3 games to go at least. That's my view. In terms of Saturday, the Millwall game, do you want to see more of the same that we saw from Reading last night, or will that be good enough to beat Millwall, or do they need to be doing something different, Johnny?
Look, it's a different approach, different game. Millwall, a different team. I think he has to just take it a game at a time. And we'll go there on Saturday and aim for the 3 points, play the best way we can, and go for it. I just don't think we just can't keep playing negative.
Yeah. All right. Well, Johnny, thanks a lot for that. I think just to finish up, obviously Millwall and then Blackburn away coming up. So 2 big games for Reading. That's it for this episode. And just a reminder that on Thursday evening, tomorrow evening, we'll be joined by 2 guests from Reading Royals ice hockey team in Reading in Pennsylvania. And that episode is available from 7 p.m. tomorrow. That's Thursday. So then on Sunday, we'll be bringing you our Reading FC quiz. Looking forward to that. So tune in anytime from 10 a.m. on Sunday, and you'll have a chance to test your Royals knowledge. So that's on Sunday, and all episodes are available to listen to anytime to suit you. So all that leaves me to say is thank you to Johnny, and look forward to the next episode. Johnny, finally, before we go, let's have a prediction from you for Saturday. And also, can you tell me if you change the starting lineup before we go?
I'm going to go 2-1 and change the starting line. Do you know what I would do? This is a personal opinion. If Andy Carroll's listening, please don't have a go at me. I would actually put Carroll on the bench. I think he's more effective. We play a different way. You bring Carroll along on 30 minutes to go.
Who would you start?
I'd start with Joe and Aziz. Something different. Just go different with what we got. Give Aziz a chance with Joe, a bit of pace. See if Joe can kickstart his game again, because obviously he's not been playing great. And rest Carroll for, give him a breather as well, because he's been playing every game for the last number of games. Bring him on with 30 minutes to go. He offers a different option. I think we haven't got a lot of other options width-wise, depth-wise in central mid, or now especially Mate's not there. I'd start Mate if he was fit, but he's not. But that would be one option. Then kind of the team kind of picks itself, really, doesn't it? Because you've got Yeardom, the central defenders. It's Holmes, it's Sarr, and Benge might come in at some, But it's really just juggling with what we've got to hopefully get a winning combination. But it's not all doom and gloom, because we still got guys that can score goals. Carroll can score, Joe can score, Long can score.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And let's keep our fingers crossed. We obviously, none of us predicted that we'd get beat by Sheffield United, but I don't think it's a massive surprise that we did. Obviously, we were hopeful more than expectant, I think. So that's it for this episode. Johnny's prediction, 2-1 win on Saturday. So if you believe that, it's obviously worth going along and watching the game. So let's hope for that. There were a lot of hopefullys in that, but I think we've got some cause for a little bit of optimism that Reading are going to do what they need to do to stay up, starting hopefully with 3 points on Saturday. So that's it for now. Thanks for listening in. And next episode is tomorrow evening.